The people in the sky are up all night. I need this, so dance with the gravity. I eclipse with your hands all over me. Ooh, I swear, you got me way up there, a cosmic affair. Ooh, I swear, looking at you there, it's a cosmic affair. Heart beats like the planets are keeping tempo. Hold on to me. I think I'ma die if you let go. I need this, so dance with the gravity. I eclipse with your hands all over me. Ooh, I swear, you got me way up there, a cosmic affair. Ooh, I swear, looking at you there, it's a cosmic affair. Can you keep me dancing in the stars lit? Can you keep me spinning in your orbit? 'Cause ooh, I swear, you got me way up there, a cosmic affair. Ooh, I swear, looking at you there, it's a cosmic affair.
Loving you makes the stars shine brighter. Yeah. One step closer to the halo. Yeah. We are warriors, we rule our own domain. Yeah, yeah. Keep our heads up high.
Bison. He was phenomenal. Thank you so much. Thank you. He's so talented. We're so happy to have had him. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Danny Nierenberg. Thank you. Sweet. I'm president and co-founder of Food Tank. For those of you who don't know us, we're a research and advocacy organization devoted to highlighting stories of hope and success in our food and agriculture systems. And I am so excited to welcome you to our 5th annual All Things Food and Environment Summit for our 4 Voices of Farmers Growing the Future. And we're so pleased to be here during the Sundance Film Festival. I am one of the luckiest people, I feel like, in the world because I spent my career interviewing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of farmers throughout the world. I've heard about the risks and difficulties they face every day. I've heard about how more extreme weather events are really taking a toll and making their jobs harder. I've heard about how policy changes, from tariffs to the elimination of local food procurement programs, only make it more difficult for them to survive as farmers. But I also see how resourceful, knowledgeable, creative, and determined farmers are, no matter if I'm in sub-Saharan Africa or here in Utah. They are, of course, food producers, but also business people, innovators, entrepreneurs, educators. They're building thriving communities. And they hold the answer to some of the most pressing environmental and social problems that we're facing right now. I think it's also very important to acknowledge that across the United States, many communities, especially our food and farming communities, are experiencing fear and uncertainty because of ice. The relationships and trust that help us thrive are being strained. This is happening to all of us. We need to speak up and stand up for one another. We need to tell all our lawmakers that we will not abide the murder of poets and nurses in this country ever again. Thank you. Throughout this evening, you will hear from 7 incredible farmers who have been working for several weeks with a team of dramaturgs to hone their stories and really share their lives with you. Those Utah-based dramaturgs are with us tonight. Amanda Dawson, round of applause. Rachel Bublitz, round of applause. And Samantha Briggs. So they're incredible. And we're so grateful to them for really helping this event happen. I also want to thank our co-hosts and friends at Niman Ranch, including Elle Gadient, Alicia Laporte, and Carrie McClyman, for making this event possible and providing many of the snacks that you enjoyed as you came in. Give them a round of applause. We also have amazing chefs here who have an incredible menu planned for our reception, and you'll hear more about that later. I also hope you'll connect with us during the conversation using the hashtag #FoodTank. So let's dive into the program. I am excited to welcome 2 incredible people changing the way we think about our food and farming systems. Joining me is my co-MC for the evening, David Moscow, an actor, creator, host, and author who's behind the amazing series From Scratch. Give him a round of applause.
Hello.
Nice
Hi.
to see you. And we have the amazing Elle Gadient, a 5th-generation Midwest farmer raising cattle, laying hens, and crops on her Iowa farm. She also serves as the farmer advocate for Niman Ranch, a network of 600 independent family farmers and ranchers raising hogs, cattle, and lamb humanely and sustainably. Give her a round of applause. So I want to ask you both why tonight is so important for each of you, and I'll start with you, David.
Your opening monologue kind of took a lot of the words right out of my mouth. I spend, about 10 years ago, I started a show where we go out and we meet with food producers and farmers. And what you realize is they are the canary in the coal mine for all of us. Global climate change, economic issues, they are front and center dealing with it. And what you said about, I had never thought of farmers anything beyond just the people who sort of harvest food, but they're tinkerers, they're engineers, they're running small businesses. They have to figure out like world economy in order to sell. They're brilliant people, and they are some of the most generous people in the world. I've never landed at a farm and not walked away with too much food. I'm like, we're traveling, I can't take this, and they're like, here. So whatever I can do to support what you guys do, what the people are going through out there right now. It's been a rough year and a half. It feels like 20, but I'm glad to be here to help.
We're so happy you're here. Give him a round of applause, please. Speaking of generosity, Ellie is one of the most generous people I know. I want to know why this was so important to you and Niman.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and the other farmers who are in this room. All too often, farmer stories are told for us and not by us. And Niman Ranch is a network. We've been built by independent family farmers like my family who are raising our animals with care. And tonight's about listening. Listening to our stories as farmers, of our communities, our resilience, and in turn, your connection to us and your food. So I'm here to share my story and to listen to my fellow farmers and to help you build your connection to your food.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. David and Ellie will be back up throughout the evening. So thank you so much. So it's going to be a great evening. I can't even tell you. I want to invite our first storyteller up. There is a time clock in my line of sight that all the farmers will be able to see. And I know you all have great stories, but you also have your time limits, so just a short reminder. So I am so excited in welcoming Lynsey Gammon, the farm director at Gracie's Farm at the Lodge at Blue Sky. Give it up. This farm is a part of the Auberge Resorts collection, and it's at the part of this hotel that where we're convening right now. Lynsey leads an organic, regenerative, female-led farm focused on soil health, biodiversity, and supplying the lodge with seasonal produce in Wanship, Utah. Give her a huge round of applause. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. So, I grew up in the mountains surrounding Lake Tahoe. Super lucky. But even more so because my grandmother, my nanny, lived right down the road from me. And every day I could walk down to her house and she would feed me a snack. And then she would usher me outside into her garden. And this is where she taught me the art and love of growing food in the mountains. You see, she was Italian, and she was a lover of food, and she was never happier than when her entire family was seated around her table devouring her ravioli. She was my true North Star. She was the woman from whom I learned not only how to garden, but how to be a loving, present mother, a strong and independent woman, and a keeper of tradition. She came from a line of farmers back in Italy. And when her family immigrated over to the United States, they settled in the Central Valley of California. And they just picked up right where they left off. But this time, as raisin farmers. But not my nanny. She instead moved to the mountains. She moved to Lake Tahoe at 6,500 feet, where growing food seemed to be almost impossible. But somehow, she did it. And she could never really leave behind the love of growing food and the joy and love that it gave to her and the connection with the land and her history. Because like so many women before her, farming was her ancestry. It ran through her veins. And like so many women were historically integral to farming and farming practice. You know, from the beginning of time, from hunter-gatherer societies to the small family farms, to growing food through the World War II with the Women's Land Army, women have sustained growing food and sustained their families and communities from the beginning of time. Sorry, excuse me. So, you know, she taught me everything that I know. And when standardization and mechanization came into farming, women were pushed out and men kind of took over. And women went into the home and took on a more domestic role. But they maintained their culture and their ancestry of farming and growing food through maintaining gardens. They grew in their backyards and on small plots of land, always sort of keeping that cultural history close to their heart, just like my nanny did in the 70s and 80s back in that garden in Tahoe. And like I said earlier, she made that garden central to my youth and to my childhood and my education, and without knowing it, to my future. She taught me how to sow the seeds and turn the soil, and she taught me how to plant peas. And when those vines would kind of climb up that makeshift trellis, she taught me how to harvest a pod. And then I would taste it. And in those moments with her, I learned what true food and real food grown by hand with care and love truly meant, and what it truly tasted like, and what it meant to my soul. But like so many women, I didn't know there was a place for me in farming. So I went off to college, and I got a graduate school degree, and I did a whole other career before going back. But I always kind of was kept at a distance from the soil, but I always kind of gardened when I could, and I ate fresh and local when I could, and I carried that lineage somewhere within me. And until one day, I was standing in my garden in Salt Lake City, and I was pregnant with my first daughter, and I realized that this was where I spent all of my time. It's where I felt most myself. And it was in that moment, in that quiet, when I heard the voices of my ancestors. It was like a whisper, and then it was a roar. This is where you belong. And in that moment, the flickering torch was reignited and passed down, and I returned to my roots, and I jumped back into farming. And I wasn't alone at that time, because communities started talking about the industrialization of agriculture and the impact that it had on the world. And women in that momentum started returning to agriculture, bringing care and nurture and reconnection back to the land. But the barriers to entry for women are really high, and they have been for a long time. Because of cultural and structural and financial barriers, women have a disproportionately harder time starting a farm business than their male counterparts. And it's in that gap between possibility and passion that I have found my place. After building my own farm for years and then creating this community anchor at Gracie's farm where I farm today, I realized and noticed that the gap for women and the opportunities for women did not exist, and it was really frustrating. And so I created a space to train and mentor the next generation of young women farmers. Just like my Nani did for me, she passed down the love of food and of growing food, I now get to do the same. And in those moments where I get to reflect and sit in this piece of land, I think about that mountain garden, and I think about my grandmother, and I hear the voices, and I think about all of those women who came before her, and then I look at the women with whom I'm working today, and then I think about the women who will come after me, namely my daughters, because they now have a really important job on the farm, a super special one. It's planting the snap peas. And every year I watch them, and they drop the seeds in the soil, and they cover them, and they wait for those vines to crawl up the trellis so that they too can really appreciate and taste the texture and sweetness of a snap pea. And in those moments, I hear my Nani speaking to me, and she's reminding me that this work, the work of growing food, of growing community, and growing women, is exactly where I belong. Thank you.
Amazing. You're beautiful. I'm crying. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you for highlighting the role of women farmers. It's so important. David, I'm crying, so you have to do something.
Okay. I actually have farmed with Lynsey, and she makes it sound easy. I got up there in August, and it started snowing on us, and it knocked the tree down. And like the work that she does there is so beautiful and amazing to feed everyone. Like it's heroic. And it's so, what's amazing for me is to go meet with experts, right? In this time, everyone thinks they're an expert, especially on the internet. But when you actually bump up against people who know what they're doing, it's humbling, it's transformational. Yeah, it was an amazing, and I just did it for a day. And I was so tired at the end. And my lips were chapped, and I was ready to go back to LA.
Thank you, David. That was great. Thank you. Thank you again, Lynsey. All right. Thank you. Yes. Another round of applause, everyone. So now I have the honor to introduce Albert Betoudji, who is a New Roots farmer here in Utah through the International Rescue Committee's New Roots program. In this program, Albert grows fresh produce while building a sustainable livelihood through agriculture as part of an initiative that supports refugee and immigrant farmers as they establish roots in new communities. So please give him a round of applause as he joins me on stage. And I get to stay up here with Albert, so I'm really excited.
Thank you and have a good night. My name is Albert Betoudji. I am from Chad Republic in Central Africa. I was born and grew in the farm family. That's the first page. Sorry, not this one. I'm sorry. Sorry. My name is Albert Betoudji. I am from Chad Republic in Central Africa. I was born and grew in the farming family. Farming and fishing are the main activity for generations. My grandparents, they live their life. And I learned at the age of 5, they showed me how to put a seed on the wall and how to pick crop during harvesting. At the age of 6, I was registered at school, and I come to visit my parents only during the school break. And that time, I helped them do the farming. And also, they show me that there is two different climate in Chad. There's dry season and a rainy season. And the dry season starts from November to October, and the rainy season starts November to May, and the rainy season starts June to October. And every time I come home, they show me how to grow. If they tell me if I want to grow crops, I have to follow the timeline of the season. So, and I have to follow up the harvesting of the crop. Mm-hmm. In 1979, the Civil War started, and I left my country. The Civil War is between South, Christian in the South, and the Muslim in the North. And at the South part where I grew up, that paid a lot of price. And I decided to leave my country looking for my safety. I left my wife, my 2 daughters, and I go far away to West Africa. I got the asylum in Burkina Faso in 1986. 10 years later, I have my wife follow me in Burkina Faso. I came to Utah directly from Africa in 1999. And when I came, I was involved in a refugee community, helping refugee family do with the transportation to go shopping or to go for their appointment. And also I helped them with how to use the public transportation and also how to use kitchen and toilet. I started farming when I moved to my home in 2005. That I started growing corn, tomato, and pepper in my backyard. In 2010, Salt Lake County and International Refugee Community decided to give us an opportunity to have a land and start farming. And I was among the first farmers at that time. Mm-hmm. When I start with the new route, before when the land was called Refugee Garden in 2010, but later in 2012, the name has changed to New Roots. And I start to grow some crops every year, like amaranth, tomato, arugula, roselle, and so forth. I also farm the same crops back home, but I cannot grow sorghum or sweet potato or cassava here. At the beginning, we grow crops just for food. Because we cannot eat the leftover, the new root staff take the leftover and sell to the store and restaurant for us. And then later they show us how to open our own booth in the farmer market. The money we make is not enough, but is significant. Because the energy we spend farming is not, does not cover the money we make from it, from the farming. At the farm, we share our story, like where are you from, how you get here, and what the name of the crop, and how you eat it. I grew fresh fruit, not for the market, but to eat at home and to share with friends. In fall of 2015, my mom, my young brother, and my sister-in-law, they come to visit us. And I took them to my farm to show them what I grew here. The big surprise, they say, oh, we grow corn, squash, and everything here. I say, yes, we grow here, but not in a traditional way, but in a technical system. So that's why they're surprised to see how I grow, because they show me at my young age, and I continue doing the same thing here in the United States. So my mom was very, very happy. Working at the farm make me happy, and because it's a physical activity, you use all your body, your arm, legs, and your mountain. Digging, planting, weeding, and harvesting helped me with my mental and physical health. I came to Utah as a refugee, and I met other refugee family with a different background, different culture, but we farm together. What I can say, I will say thank you to the state of Utah to welcome a refugee community. Thank you to international refugee community to help us farming, and thank you for creating the international community, creating a new route program that help us do the farming here in Utah. They show us the new technique and how we can grow these different crops here in Utah. So I thank New Root staff for helping us, and we need help because we need more help from New Roots, but New Roots need more help for the group to help us. The name New Roots is significant for many things. New Roots. We came from different backgrounds, but we farm together in the same place, and we grow food for ourselves, for family, and for community. Merci beaucoup.
Woo! I have no
awesome.
words. I have
That's
no words.
awesome.
I need.
My mom went to high school and college in Salt Lake, and so I've been coming here a long time. And when I first got here, when I was young, I was out in Sandy living. I would stay with my grandpa in a double wide, and it was just cattle everywhere. And the only food you could eat anything you want as long as it was fried, right? But today, with immigrants and refugees coming in here, it's transformed this city. You can go and get amazing food and amazing vegetables that you could never get years ago. And you really see in food how diversity is strength and how we need to support that. So thank you. Utah should be thanking you. So
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Immigrants are America. Let's remember that. They are America. Without them, none of us would eat. Another round of applause for Albert. All right, next we're going to hear from Paula Swaner Sargetakis, the co-owner of, she can pronounce her name better than I can, obviously, the co-owner of Frog Bench Farms, which is a sustainable urban farm in Salt Lake City. Frog Bench produces a wide range of food for local markets and community programs with a focus on regenerative practices adapted to an urban environment. Paula, thank you so much for being here, and come on up. Thank you so much, thank you.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me all right? Good. So Frog Bench Farms. A lot of people, the first thing they ask, why do you have the name Frog Bench Farms? Well, I've always loved frogs. They, you know, when you said canary in the coal mine, frogs are the canaries above it, outside in the land and the water. And I've just always been drawn to them. Our farm is up on the bench in Salt Lake. We're right in an urban area surrounded by 2 schools. And it's a farm, so Frog Bench Farms. Seemed very logical to us. When I was a kid, one of the adventures I had was going up to Brighton and with my mom and a bunch of her friends. And I had never seen tree frogs before. And they were these tiny little things. They were so adorable. So I had to take them home. I got a nice big pot, put a rock in there, some leaves and different things, and then water, and then a bunch of frogs. Put them in the back of the car, and we went home. There were no frogs left in the pot by the time we got home because there was no lid on the pot. We did have to get rid of that car. So it's, you know, but always being out in nature has been important to me. Playing in the dirt, being in the soil, walking through and just experiencing the smells and the flavors that you can scavenge out in wherever you are. When I was about 5, we purchased a ranch out at Kimball Junction, which many of you drove by. I wish you came up here, Black Angus Ranch. And for me, that was a gold mine. I could play with anything out there. I could get in the water, I could get, you know, play with the cows. They were Black Angus, so they were huge compared to me. Loved them. But I also had Rocky Mountain spotted frogs up there, so I would take them home with me all the time to Salt Lake. I think that's why they're endangered up in this area, and we're doing our best to bring them back now. But when I was growing up, my grandmother would always tell me about my great-grandmother. She lived down on 7th East, and she could farm. She had a garden, and all of her neighbors had gardens. Some of them could grow different things, but they would all come together and be able to put together a perfect meal. And my grandmother always had a garden. My mom had a garden. My husband and I have always had some kind of a garden. And in 1999, it must have been a fortuitous time, I got the bug to really get into farming. I needed to get my hands in the dirt. And so we started looking for a piece of property. It was important for us that we be able to share this with kids. So we wanted a school by us. We ended up with 2 schools by us. And part of the fun of that is we do tours. When the kids come on site, they don't know what they're looking at. They're always surprised that, A, there's a farm right next door, but it's their joy in it, and they will ask questions and they learn. So we get to share all of this that we do. Like tonight, some of the microgreens you're enjoying are from the farm. And the kids, when they would go to taste them, they would be very nervous about it and not want to do it. But eventually they would, and most of them liked it. And in fact, on some of these tours, it was a 9th grade class that came through for about 3 years, a health class. The bus driver, he was so enthralled with the farm. He said, I have always wanted to do this. This is such a meaningful thing to me. And he said, I never thought I'd see anything like this. And he did come and work on our farm for a while. And we were so happy to have him. Our neighbor, she would arrange her class, the whole grade. She arranged tours for them to come to the farm for 3 years. And I think she'll be a farmer one day. She's already got a garden set up in the backyard. And it's beautiful. But what we envisioned when we started our 1.5 acres, We had no idea what we were doing, what we were getting into, but we've loved it. And now we service 22 restaurants. We have secondary products, so everything we grow on site, we don't waste anything. It's either sold or we donate it to the U of U pantry for students so that they have fresh, healthy food to be able to eat, or to the Utah Food Bank if there's anything left. We take our product, we dry it, we make teas, and we share all these processes. When people come on site for a tour, we show them how they can do it, how they can go to the local hardware store and purchase all these things, so that we're sharing that education, sharing that ability for them to be able to create. Sustainability is also very important to us. So using everything that we have, keeping it on site, and moving it on to the next person. So we collect water. We, with our secondary product, we'll buy, if we don't have our value-added product, we will actually work with different local growers. We get sugar local, we get the butter local, all those things to make whatever products we're going from there. I'm trying to, but I'm losing my train of thought, sorry. But farming is just so important to us. We have a staff that, I don't know what we would do without them. We also, for sustainability, we give them a living wage. And that makes it even harder. You don't make money farming. You make it in other sides of the product. And I'm hoping one day that the farming world will be, hopefully this type of an event will help people understand and appreciate the hard work that goes into farming and how much fun we have doing it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're great. You're great. I loved her. That was awesome. Like, so heartfelt and so genuine.
Well, I think also what I was thinking about Frog Bench is, in the modern world, we're so removed from where our food comes from. And, lots of kids think food is wrapped in plastic and comes from the supermarket. But the work that they do, where people come on and they're in between two schools, that is reminding what it means to be human.
Yeah.
Like, it ties us to the land. It's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. Thank you again, Paula. Give her another round of applause. Is everyone having a good time? Did you enjoy the food that you had before? Did you enjoy the drinks that you had before? Bigger round of applause, please. You haven't seen anything yet. The reception in a little while is going to be great, so don't go anywhere. Right now, I get to have a great discussion, so I'm going to sit right here. So we're going to take a closer look at food through history and storytelling. And for this conversation, I get to sit down again with David, so give him a round of applause again. He's going to get a big head, but I think that's okay. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Elizabeth Louderback, the Curator of Archaeology at the National History Museum of Utah and an Associate Professor at the University of Utah. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
So, David, I'm really excited that we get to share a clip from scratch with the audience today. Before we cue it, can you talk about a little bit, I think you alluded to it before, but a little bit more about the inspiration behind the show?
It was 2016, and Mexican Americans were under attack, and we were thinking about, let's make a documentary about margaritas and tacos and show how they're made. And it's hard to hate the people who are doing that. So, and then my agent, it was this one good piece of advice. He was like, well, who's going to see that? What if it's a TV show? What if that's the pilot of a TV show and you do food cultures every week? And it was a great piece of advice. So we went out, we created a show. Each week I meet with a chef, they make me a meal. I spend a week trying to harvest all the ingredients, fishing, farming, foraging, and I come back and hopefully I've gotten everything and the chef can make a meal. Sometimes I fail and I bring back, instead of a trout, I bring back butternut squash and I'm like, here, what are you gonna do? But the premiere of season 2 was here in Utah, and it was the chef at Blue Sky. Galen, and he actually is a chef here. He's got a number of restaurants in Park City, and we did a trout piscator with acorn bread, which I didn't know this before the show, but if you took all of the foods that people ate and you put them on a table, acorns would be the biggest pile. That's what has kept humanity alive. And then we found out about this four-corner potato, which I had never heard about as well. And an American potato? Like, what is this? And why don't I know about it? And so we got to dive into the history of the four-corner potato, and Elizabeth and I met. But we're premiering, we moved to Peacock. So we have 5 seasons on Peacock, and season 6 premieres March 2nd. And we're just going to show a clip from the first.
Oh man, this episode is going to be wild.
I am David Moscow, and I am on a mission to show you how food really gets to our plates. I meet with a chef and eat a meal.
That is shockingly good.
I then have a week to harvest all the ingredients for that meal
How long does this take?
to try and replicate the dish
1 hour.
1 hour
Yes.
from scratch. To show the hard work of fishing, farming, and foraging that goes into every bite.
That is amazing.
Join me this season. Let's go. As I dive into legendary food cultures, harvesting in the tribal areas of India for a curry, hunting venison for smash burger, and fishing ahi for poke in Maui, tapping maple syrup in Quebec, and even traveling the globe, tracing the history of the iconic New York bagel cream cheese and lox.
We don't even have a show. I just wanted to come in here and make bagels.
Streaming March 2nd, only on Peacock.
Amazing. Congratulations again. I want to turn to this another clip because you were talking about the potatoes in Iowa, and then I want Lizbeth to comment it. So can we play the potato clip?
The Nebekea means land of the people. My role in working with Lizbeth is to understand the complete history, the traditional knowledge tied to the native potato. So our younger generation know that this was our food. This is what we had since time immemorial. We call ourselves Nohokati Indene Bila Ishlai, which means the five-finger earth people. And they talk about our original ancestral agreements because it's the earth that gifts us with food, water, and medicine, and that our role is to use our voice to protect it. I think most importantly, what I've been told from the elders is when you talk about traditional knowledge, you have to practice it. The Four Corners potato is like a superfood. The way we see it is as a medicine. They tell us that plants like the potato are our teachers because plants evolved long before we have. Food is no different than who we are as people. They are a living, breathing being.
This species, it has a story that spans cultures. It has a story that spans generations, and it actually spans thousands of years. We're working with Cynthia to give them back the stock that we can make, and they can bring it back to the reservation and reinvigorate it in their own culture.
That's beautiful.
And so that's really what we want to do, is just be of service to them.
We went through the long walk as the Navajo people. They walked 300 miles starving, and some of them actually talk about they carried small pouches of food and medicine, and part of that included the potato. And that was also a way to preserve our seeds when we were marched off our lands, and we're still grateful for that. Our elders really taught us about adaptation. They taught us about resiliency and to never forget where we come from and who we are as the Nez people.
Thank you. And you'll get to try these amazing potatoes at the reception. So I'm wondering, Lizbeth, if you can comment on sort of the work that goes into being a historian of food and also interacting with the indigenous cultures who have really been preserving these foods for centuries and not getting the credit that they deserve.
Right. Well, I'm an archaeologist, and more specifically, I'm an archaeobotanist. So that means I look at plant remains from archaeological sites because I'm very interested in past human diets and how and why they changed over time. And one thing that I am really working towards is combining Western science with traditional knowledge. And then you get a bigger picture, a broader picture of what life would have been like in the past. And
will you tell us how you found this potato?
Yes.
Because this is an incredible story.
It is very interesting. So I was doing my dissertation work, and again, I was looking at plant remains from an archaeological site in Escalante, Utah. Has anybody ever been to Escalante? Yes, okay. Some people who don't live there call it Escalante, but it's actually Escalante. What I found, so I look at plant remains, but I also look at microscopic residues on ancient artifacts. And what I found looked like potato starch. I did not know why potato starch were on these ancient artifacts. And some of these are as old as 11,000 years ago. Why was potato starch on these artifacts? Well, it turns out Escalante Valley used to be called Potato Valley. And the indigenous groups that live around there today and who used to live in Escalante, there's a lot of ethnographic literature on the use of the potato. So it's been known for a very long time. And a lot of the elders that we interviewed, that Cynthia interviewed for our project, knew about the potato or had memories of their grandparents growing the potato. But it had been forgotten, especially in the younger generations, not only in the indigenous communities, but in Escalante as well. Escalante Valley used to be called Potato Valley, and now nobody who lives there really knew about the potato. So what started out as my dissertation ended up being a huge community outreach project, working with indigenous groups, working with business owners, working with locals in the rural areas like Escalante, bringing the potato back and reconnecting it and introducing it as a piece of their heritage. And what we found, especially with the indigenous groups, is that there's almost like a cultural identity surrounding the potato. And we have a new publication that just came out that shows some of the potato populations growing in the Four Corners region were established from people in the past transporting that potato, moving it from one location to another. And those populations would not exist if the indigenous people in the past and today were not managing those populations, did not tend to them. So I'm very interested in reconnecting the past to the present.
And when you found it again, after it had been lost, one of the things that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that you were trying to figure out if this was possibly the oldest domesticated plant in the Americas, because it had been moved from southern or northern Mexico up into Utah. Is that correct?
That's right. So not Mexico. However, it might grow a little bit in northern Mexico. But this potato, by the way, is Solanum jamesii, not related to Solanum tuberosum. It is not a South American potato. It is native to North America. There's only 2 species of Solanum in North America that produce tubers, and Solanum jamesii is one of them. What did you ask?
I was saying that this was possibly the oldest domesticated plant.
Yes.
Which is unbelievable.
It is. So there's no evidence of crops being domesticated, and I'm remembering what Albert, what you were talking about, how in your homeland some of those crops. There's an amazing history and a lot of evidence of crops being domesticated in that region. In Western North America, there's none. When we think about the crops that people used in the past, maize, beans, and squash, those were domesticated elsewhere and then transported up in this region. But we are building this case, and this is taking us years and years and years, but we are building a case for that this species was domesticated in the Four Corners area. And we've got one more publication to go that shows that, but it involves a lot of genetic evidence. But we've published some genetic evidence. We've published the traditional knowledge, the indigenous elders' knowledge, and the archaeological evidence. But this would be the first crop to be domesticated in Western North America, which would put us on the map, finally.
Such a great story of preserving both a wonderful piece of culinary history and agricultural history, but also the cultural history that is so important that the Indigenous folks have brought. In the final few seconds that we have left, I'd love to hear, based on this story, a call to action from each of you for what this audience can take home, and why protecting and preserving Indigenous culture and crops is so important.
In a country that has a ton of Italian restaurants and Chinese restaurants, there's not many Native American restaurants, and that is super sad. So if you have the opportunity, you see it on the menu, order it. Order it, because the Dene, the Navajo, will be selling their product, and they'll be making money off of this amazing, people should know this like it's like the walnut, right? Like, this is an American potato, and it's so different. It's like this small, and it's nutty. And you have to roast it.
It's very tasty.
It's very tasty. You have to cook it in clay because there's tannins in it. It's like this really neat. If you dig food, this is something you should try.
Yeah, and I'm reminded to what Lynsey talked about women's role. And when Cynthia did the elder interviews, what we found was the women she interviewed, the elders, had a very different knowledge about the potato than the male interviewees. And the women knew how to prepare the potatoes. They talked about the potato in the present tense, and they knew where it grew. Whereas the males talked about it in the past, and they didn't specifically know how to grow it. They certainly knew about it, but they didn't know how to process it. And so, I would say that's, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. But anyway, yes, women's knowledge and using and paying attention to the indigenous knowledge and how to grow these and working together on how best to grow them and maybe bringing it back is really important.
Great points to end on. Thank you so much. Please give them both a round of applause. Thank you. I love learning more about the history of these foods and why they're so important. And you're going to hear more about these potatoes from Chef Blue Adams before the reception. And again, get to try them. So that's very exciting. All right, another round of applause for Lizbeth and David. Thank you. I'm so excited for our next farmer storyteller because I've known her for a long time, and she truly is one of my favorite people. So please welcome back to the stage, Elle Gadient.
Hello, everyone. Did anyone else here grow up on a farm? Albert? Well, for those of you who did, it's a life of its own, as you know. I grew up on my family's farm in Iowa, and I'm proud to be a farm kid. This is my story. It's early morning, and like every day, my mom opens the blinds, and we watch the sunrise together, overlooking the cows waking up in the cornfield. The birds begin to chirp as the sun peeks over the horizon. Good morning. The cows are preparing to calve in the field behind the house, eating any corn left from harvest and munching on stalks. This is my favorite time of year. The days are getting longer and new life emerges all around. The songbirds return from their winter migration, buds form on the trees, and slowly, the dormancy of brown turns to green. I love that every day on the farm is full of excitement, renewal, and hard work. One cold and rainy evening, a cow is having trouble calving. As the sun sets, the rain turns to sleet. It's late by the time my parents pull the calf, and she is so weak. My dad warns me, this calf might not make it. A harsh reality I know well already at 10 years old. Poor little baby. We go to every length to try to save her, even bringing towels in from the dryer to warm her up. It's life or death. On the third day of nursing her to health, she is gaining strength. We saved her. Now is my time to shine. Bottle feeding her twice a day, she imprints on me instantly as the mother feeding her. My new baby is a light peachy color and so little. She reminds me of a deer, and I love her already. We name her Sugar Plum. It wasn't long before I was outlawed from bottle feeding Sugar Plum before school, because somehow time would get away from me, and there the school bus would go driving by while I was still out with Sugar Plum. Oops. Sugar Plum and I grew up together. By the time I was in junior high, she had joined the other cows out in the pasture down the road. And though she wasn't always outside my window, I would visit regularly, and she would come running to me across the pasture when I called her name. And I'd bring treats. Does anyone here like Fig Newtons? You and Sugar Plum have that in common. She loved Fig Newtons. My mom thought she was buying them for the family, and it turned out my dad and I were feeding them to Sugar Plum. Later, my mom discovered no one in our house liked Fig Newtons, and she was not going to continue buying them for a cow. Well, I adapted. Sugar Plum also loved stale cereal, granola bars, bread, but she wasn't a big fan of croissants. Not every cow is like Sugar Plum. And not everyday farming is Fig Newtons and sunshine. I watched my parents struggle, facing hardships and uncertainty. We lost animals to sickness, we faced extreme weather, crops were damaged by droughts and floods. Even though we had a diversified farm and worked hard, really hard, sometimes we couldn't pay the bills. Both my parents also worked off the farm, so they could farm, meaning they slept very little. By the time I was in high school, I realized many people don't work this hard. Many people don't put this many hours in a day. I asked myself, is this the life I want to live? Is this my dream? Every day, every holiday, there's work to be done on a farm. Nothing is guaranteed in farm life. I'd have to be crazy to choose this way of life. Did you know some people sleep 8 hours at night? And get a paycheck every 2 weeks instead of a few times a year? I dreamt of adventure and a fulfilling career. Sugar Plum aged, and I moved off the farm to chase my dreams. My parents became her primary treat givers and caretakers. My life changed while hers remained the same, with only occasional visits from me. At 24, I was living the big city life in Denver, Colorado, working for Niman Ranch, supporting farm families, including my family back in Iowa, only now from afar. When Sugar Plum died, my mom broke the news to me over the phone. We enjoyed 14 years together. Sugar Plum's death taught me something. Being away from the farm didn't spare me the heartache. Distance didn't take away from my connection back to my home. In 2021, on a visit back to Iowa, my aunt set me up on a blind date with a man she met at a Christmas party. Her text message to me read, "I met your future husband, and he loves cows as much as you do." Believe it or not, she was right about both things. In 2024, Steve and I got married, and now we live on the farm he grew up on. Thank you. Can anyone guess what animals we raise? Cows, of course. We have a herd of cows of our own, and the past few weeks have been filled with the emotions of uncertainty, joy, and lack of sleep as we help our cows deliver and care for their baby calves. We farm, and I work for Niman Ranch supporting fellow farm families. Sometimes I get sleep, and more recently I don't, because we're calving, and that's okay. It's all part of the crazy life of a farmer. In the evenings, we watch the beautiful sky as the sun sets over the horizon, not far from where my parents watched the same sunset. It won't be long before the songbirds return from their winter migration, buds form on the trees, and again, the dormancy of brown turns to green. This is the life we choose. This is our life on the farm.
Thank you. I love Elle Gadient. That was great. Keep that a round of applause going while I compose myself.
Wow.
She's so great.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say.
I
You
don't
said
have
it all.
anything
That
to
was
say
amazing.
either.
Thank you very much. That was incredible.
That's good. It's fine. Whew. All right, David and I have to compose ourselves. Next, we get to hear from AJ Kanip, who is the Chief Operating Officer of the Ute Tribal Enterprises and the manager of the Ute Bison Company. AJ oversees bison production on Ute reservation lands, supporting economic development, food sovereignty, and traditional land-based agriculture. Please give him a big round of applause.
They told me I was going to be up after this other guy, right? Mike, mani monarch baram nike ayur. Dia ay penikam. Iban tiyan tikawayan. Mani nani naktam. Ayra. What I'm saying is speaking in my native language, the Ute language, our tribe that used to live here in this area, Salt Lake Valley, Utah Valley. And we believe that this language, that those mountains, they understand it. So what I said was, it's good to see you. And I don't know where you're from, maybe far away or around here, but it's good. My name is Antonio Kanip. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Ute Tribal Enterprises, as well as the Ute Bison Manager. Ute Bison was established back in 2015 to help reduce the overpopulated bison herd that the tribe had. See, what was happening was, as the herd started to overgrow, they started to migrate off onto public lands. And the our tribal councilman asked me if there was any way that the enterprises might be able to assist on bringing those numbers down to manageable numbers of 200. And so what we did is we figured out the process how to put it into a USDA approved product. And doing so, we got there's a lot of things that kind of took place in order for that to happen. For one, a certain balance that needs to happen because of the fact that the bison is a very special animal to Native Americans. Thousands of years ago, it was provided for people for clothing and food, shelter, and tools. But it had stronger importance to the Native Americans. It was to our ceremonies, the way we believe and the way we communicate with the Great Spirit and Mother Nature. So the challenge that I was confronted with was how do I balance that out, a respectful balance between this animal that is very special towards our people, and how do I follow within the business plan for profit? And the third one is how do I pursue all this by good respect, a good amount of respect? It's not easy. It's not easy when you come from the tribe, the Ute tribe, or people who are pretty strong people from the past, and they're strong in their ways. Our elders tell us that the bison is not a cattle or beef. So they remind us that the animal comes from the open range. There's a certain spirit that comes with them from those areas. that we need to have a traditional way of thinking when we work with them. We follow ranch procedures, but we don't practice them entirely. We have we look for the signs. That's what was told to us. One big sign came in March of last year. I was on travel in Vegas attending a tribal economic summit. I had a call from my lead ranch hand, Mr. Lincoln Bush. And what he said was there's a fire next to us in the property on the west side. And the amount of, climate change nowadays, you causing destruction all over the world. I kind of thought of the worst, being so far away that a ranch was going to burn up. Even the thought of, say, naysayers entertained by the thought that our ranch's destruction. Those kind of things came by. But when we made it back, we come to see that the fire didn't even touch us, only about maybe 10 square feet. But to the west of us, it consumed 11 acres. And was then that we started to realize, Lincoln, and what kind of approach that we're doing is must be approved by the Bison. So teachings that come from that is how to be aware of what kind of procedures. One was a tobacco offering. Tobacco is a special gift that we believe. It represents elements, the earth, fire, water, and air. We do that out of respect for the animal. So the fire was a good example that the signs are there, the animal, the bison approves of our process. So we look at the future. We got to continue to understand our surroundings. We got to continue to follow the signs, so we can be able to go further with our business, just like the bison, the American bison, a resilient animal. We'll continue to teach as long as we listen. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was incredible. David, where are you? Are you coming back up here?
I'm right here.
I was asking for David Moscow, but I'll take David Chen. That's all right. That's all right. No. Thoughts on
amazing.
AJ was great, right?
I mean, you just think about how, farmers are not only the canary in the coal mine, but they're also the protectors of the land.
Yeah.
Right? So they're just not, they're not being passive with it. And here you see how that is changing America for the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That resilience is incredible. Thanks
Wonderful.
again to AJ. Give him a round of applause,
Thank you, AJ.
please. Now I get David Chen, who is the owner and farmer at Zoe's Garden, a CSA in Layton, Utah. Give that a round of applause, please. David grows more than 600 varieties of naturally grown fruits, vegetables, and herbs for CSA members, farmers markets, and local restaurants. Over to you, friend.
Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to the event. The concept of sustainability, how to sustain myself. To me, the concept of sustainability always has been how to sustain myself. Hello, my name is David Chen, founder of Zoe's Garden. 1982, we came to the U.S. as an immigrant, landing here in Ogden, Utah. Not knowing any English, no friends, no resource except the family. Work at the restaurant, $20 a month. My mother worked as a nanny, $200 a month. So we came together as a family and talked and came to how can we sustain ourselves. And we did. 2 years later, our family moved to San Francisco. I left behind, not by my parent, it was my choice. I live with an American family, and again, find myself, how can I sustain myself? Working in a restaurant, again, working at $2.75 an hour. So, but that's that time. 2 years later, I got a call from my mom. Your brother's in trouble. He's not in school, hanging around with the wrong group of people. So I asked Mom, what we're gonna do? She said, well, can he come back? I said, sure, we'd love to. So I left the American family I was staying with, and at that time I was very young. I was 16 and a half, 17 years old. Cannot find an apartment, because legally you can't rent it to a 17-year-old, right? And luckily, a family friend knows someone, owns a house around the corner. So was able to go behind the law and rent us the house. So I moved them in, and again, I found myself, how can I sustain at a young age? But I did, he did. He changed direction, my brother, and he stepped up, went to school, graduated from high school and graduated from college, very proud. He did it himself, not me. The old saying that you can't help anyone until they help themselves. So, but anyway, as the year goes by, I work, and started my own business. I did not get a college education. I got my education from how to survive, how to sustain myself. So I started a landscape business and then started a nursery. During that time, we were growing a lot of poinsettias. And you know how to treat poinsettias, right? There's a lot of pests. So I was spraying harmful chemicals and make me sick all the time. The last time that happened, it darn near killed me. So at the same time, I tried to start a family. My wife told me, say, are we going to start a family? I said, yeah. But she goes, well, only if you stop killing yourself. So it took me a moment and come back and say, you know what, she was right. Maybe that's what I have to do. So I started to grow vegetables in the greenhouse without using chemicals. And soon, here goes my daughter, Zoe. And it was interesting. And then one of my customers told me that Zoe means abundant life in Greek. At the same time, I was ready to start growing food in the greenhouse. And I started looking for lands outside and start doing farmings. And we named the farm after Zoe, because it is abundant life, right? And then at the same time, same period of time, I met a gentleman, Jeff William. He was a local federal agent, helped us started the program, local CSA, the local movement of here in the Wasatch Front. So he was writing grants and all that, got us all kinds of money to promote local movement. There was 4 farms at that time: Zoe's Garden, East Farm, Bill Organic, and Borski Farm. There's 4 farms that saw the local movement here in the Wasatch Front. So ever since that, everything just keep going. So as far as go to the farm, I try to raise my daughters, how to work the land, where the food's coming from, how to plant the seed, how to harvest, how to get to the market, to the consumer. As the time moves on, we have 2 more daughters, a second and the third one. Go to the market, work with the people, how to learn this face-to-face people skill, not on the phone all the time. One time really interesting, she was, Zoe, when she was selling cantaloupes. A gentleman walked up and offered her 50 cents for a $4 cantaloupe. She looked at him right in the face and said, if you can't afford it, I'm more than happy to give it to you. And that gentleman feels so bad. And she told him a whole story about how early she had to get up at 4 in the morning and bring the food to the market and sell it to the consumer. So my neighbor, she was 6 years old. I didn't teach her that. So, and I would teach my daughters how to be generous, give back to the local community every chance they get. And respect your customer, respect your people. One instance, my second daughter, I think she was about 4 years old. And we were really busy at the farmer's market. And she loved the fresh fruit and vegetables. She was eating a peach. But was so busy, she would not let anyone stand there and wait for her service. And she put the peach in her mouth and tried to help the customer. I saw that. You know, that's kind of disrespectful to the customer, but yet she didn't want to leave any customer behind or left behind. Yeah, so that was great. So anyway, proud of that. And then as time goes by, as I say, I teach our daughter how to give back to the local community. And both of them want to give back to the community. So they've been asking the customer about coming to the farm, have a farm day. This happened last fall, last October. And we invited all our customers come to the farm and pick food and all that sort of thing. And they had a real good time. It was muddy, it was crazy. But the customer able to experience the farm life, how hard it is, and how to take the food to the market and sell it, and that sort of thing. One elder lady was using a walker with a puppy, and she was so trying to maneuver around the muddy farm, and she was able to pick a fresh flower and make a bouquet. And everyone's really, really, really happy. So, but to wrap this up, I want to bring us back to the pandemic. The food supply chain was cut off. The people who we depending on, the system, how by living day-to-day life, they were not available. No product when the store was closed. If you remember, restaurant was closed. So it was hard to get products. So this shows us all how we are not able to sustain ourselves. But most of all, most of the people don't know how or probably don't want to because of the convenience of the grocery store that we have. This has been the theme throughout my entire life. At Zoe's Garden, part of our concept is how to maximize our ability to sustain ourselves. We, at Zoe's Garden, try to share this idea to the local community in every way that we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. David Chen's daughters are badass.
I know, they're amazing.
I like them.
What an incredible, like, American story, right? Like, all these hurdles, and he just propels himself forward in the face of things that would, like, I would curl up in a ball. But
exactly.
My goodness. And teaching, I think the heart of it, what he said, the sustaining ourselves. We are drifting away from sustaining ourselves, and we need to get back on path. And what a teacher. Thank you, David. That was amazing.
Amazing. Another round of applause, please. I'm really excited because now we're going to hear from Hannah Greenshields. She's not from Utah, everyone. She is the co-founder at the food farm on the central coast of New South Wales in Australia. She's a first-generation regenerative farmer who focuses on growing seasonal produce while prioritizing soil health, biodiversity, and strong connections with her local community. She's a farmer storyteller at our upcoming iteration of this very event in Adelaide, Australia at the Adelaide Fringe Festival next month. I am so excited to welcome her to the stage. Please give Hannah a huge round of applause.
G'day. I'm Hannah, your Aussie farmer and opera singer for tonight. And I'd love to talk to you about resonance. Resonance happens when breath moves through the body and it becomes alive. When there's tension, the song can get louder, the sound can get louder, but it becomes less alive. And that's the same way that soil works. On our farm, we have a beautiful ecosystem of microbes, fungi, worms, humans and animals, all working together in perfect, resonant coherence. You might be wondering how an opera singer becomes a farmer. And it all started in 2020 when I was on my first ever regional tour, my first ever professional gig. I had the leading role and it got cut short because of COVID. And so, like a lot of people at the time, I had to pivot. My partner Tim and I had always had this innate want to grow food, but neither of us had grown up in farming or come from farming backgrounds, and we had no land. So we decided to lease a small plot of land and we planted something that no one else had ever grown in the area before: potatoes. We had about 1/4 of an acre that we leased, and we planted this amazing patch of Nicola potatoes, was the variety, and they turned out really well for people who had never grown potatoes before. And the problem was we had nothing to harvest them with. So we put the event on social media for people to come and dig up their own potatoes. Like a lot of things on social media, it accidentally went viral and 4,000 people had clicked attending and we knew we would have nowhere near enough potatoes. So the night before the event, we went down to our local fruit barn and we bought 2,000 pounds of potatoes and filled our car with them. They were washed potatoes because we couldn't upset the masses that were coming. And so Tim and I spent the whole night, hands and knees in the dirt, burying these washed potatoes, hoping that no one would realise that they were different to the ones that we had grown. And the next morning we woke up and we had the same anxiety that we all know really well. Is anyone even going to turn up to our event? And sure enough, the cars started streaming in one by one until suddenly 4,000 people did, in fact, show up to a potato patch which is probably about the size of this room. There were people everywhere. There were hands and knees deep in the mud digging for these potatoes. It was incredible. But the thing is, the potatoes ran out really quickly, and when they did, the people didn't leave. They stayed there playing in the mud. Adults were laughing with each other, children were rolling around in it, and they were connected. And they were connected to each other, themselves, and connected to something they didn't even realise that they'd lost. It was a connection to being part of the living world. That was 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, and we have a team of 13 people. We never grew up a patch of potatoes ever again, but we now are regenerative farmers growing beef, chicken and eggs. And we have our team also have never farmed before, and they inspire us every day. It's mostly women. And it's a beautiful example of what happens when you invite young people back to the farm. We're all under the age of 33, which is less than half the age of farmers in the US and Australia. We process everything we grow on farm, and we invite people to come to our farm shop. People get to see it all for themselves. We don't chase any certifications. Instead, we invite people to come and see the life and the death cycle for themselves. People often ask us, how can you eat an animal that you knew? And we ask with curiosity, how can you eat something and how can we continue to eat food and animals that we don't know? You see, it's something that the modern food system hides from us. We are part of the cycle. We are part of the living human biodiverse cycle. And that's something I'm really proud of. Because nourishment requires presence. We all know the feeling when we bite into a tomato that truly lived. You pick it off the vine, it's warm, it's juicy, you bite it, and it drips down your throat, and it tastes like literal sunshine. And that nourishment requires presence. Indigenous Australians look to the sky for meaning, direction, and guidance. But they don't look to the stars themselves, they actually look to the space between the stars, the liminal space, the relationships. And if we listen deeply enough, Mother Earth and our farm already knows her song, and it's our job to listen to her melody and join in as the harmony. And so I'd love to invite you all to look at the space between the stars and think to yourself, when was the last time I truly felt nourished? Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love how this opera singer frauded people into coming to our farms to make videos. Elle Gadient, come back up here with David Moscow. What an incredible evening.
Wow.
Give Hannah another round of applause, please. Her beautiful voice and her beautiful story. Oh my gosh. So I'm wondering from you both, like, what stood out the most for each of you from this evening? What really resonates?
Hope.
Yeah.
You know, and the hope is happiness. So everybody who came up here shared a bit of themselves and filled in this, what was a complete evening.
Yeah.
Just, I'm going to walk away sort of high.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I can't wait to eat the food.
Exactly. Ellie.
What stood out to me is, how do we nourish ourselves? How do we sustain ourselves? How do we listen? Thank you all for listening tonight. And through many of the stories, it was finding the space between the stars to find and hear our calling to farm. We need a chance to farm. A special thank you to Niman Ranch for the chance for my family to farm. But for all of you too, to listen, and how do you sustain yourself and listen and nourish yourself by knowing your farmer. I think another piece too is tying back to David's story of teaching his daughters to respect people. And a way to respect people and respect farmers is to respect your food.
Absolutely. From each of you, I asked for this earlier, but I think it's important to leave this audience before our wonderful chefs come up with a call to action. What do you want them to do with the stories that they heard tonight?
Oh my goodness. It's such a big mission out there right now. Look, I think just what's going on right now, you know, with ICE really going after farmers directly and harming our food supply, kicking people out of the country. I think we all need to stand up right now. America's in a really crazy place. And so it's time to demonstrate. It's time for general strikes. It's time to call your politicians. So all of the above will not only help farmers, but will help us all.
Absolutely. So. Thank you, David. Ellie, yes.
Yes, thank you. We need to continue to listen and to love and respect each other, and respect where our food's coming from is one way that we can honor all and everyone who's connected from farm to fork. And knowing where your food is coming from just makes an incredible impact. Know who you're supporting by what you're buying and what you're eating.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, David. Give them a huge round of applause.
Thank you.
What wonderful co-hosts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I now get a chance, you can sit down if you'd like. Thank you both. I now get a chance to invite our incredible chefs to join me. Joanna Hellriegel is the restaurateur at Ama in Washington, D.C., and if you haven't been, please go. She was also nominated for a James Beard Award this week. Give that a round of applause. She is becoming a really close friend to Food Tank, and we're so delighted to have you. Can you talk about the menu tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say being nominated for a James Beard was one of those moments that for me is not about the accolade, it's about the platform of being able to reach more chefs and try to transform our industry to make sure that we are doing our part to nurture not only the health of our individuals, but also the planet. And so that's a big mission for us at AMA. So I hope to be able to kind of carry that forward. And doing that with Food Tank today just shows how much that goes hand in hand. We have some amazing food that we are going to be planning for tonight. We've got the regenerative organic sneak peek of the certification from Niman Ranch of their beef, and then we are combining it with the Ute, sorry, I want to say that correctly, the Ute bison that we have, that you just kind of heard a little bit about how important bison is. And so those are going to be burgers that are made with the coconut squash from Dan Barber's Row 7 seeds in a bun. And then the rest of the menu, you want to talk about that, Chef?
Sure. So,
can I introduce you first? Because I think Chef Lou Adams, who started IndigiHub, has been such a mainstay of food culture here in Utah, has been an amazing friend to me and to Food Tank, and is someone I deeply love. So thank you for everything you've done.
So I heard a comment earlier where there aren't a lot of Indigenous restaurants. When we started our restaurants 15 years ago, we were one of the first to get Open Table to make a category for Native American. And that was in 2014. So up until 2014, the designations were either American or Mexican. So it's really important for us to have that voice and educate people on global cuisine being rooted in indigenous foods of the Americas. So on that note, our new concept, Love Letter, that will be opening in Salt Lake, will be focused on sustainable food systems, telling food stories from Mesoamerica to Turtle Island. And so I'm really proud to be working with other chefs, and the product that is provided to us, especially through Niman Ranch, who has been a supporter of us way back when we opened Black Sheep Cafe a million years ago. We had a relationship with Niman. We were one of the few restaurants in Utah County that did this. And the reason I partnered with them is the way that I see cattle and beef is a bridge to a protein that we need as a food source, but in regenerative practice, as we bring back bison. So that regenerative cattle is very important, that program, as we reclimate our bison herds that are a keystone species. When the bison were decimated, that is when, it wasn't just that it cut off our economy, our food, our well-being, but it kicked off a chain reaction that we're still seeing the results of. I don't think people really recognize how important the bison are to our ecosystem, and just the nature of the bison. They don't need antibiotics. If they get sick, they seek out plant medicine. They're very intelligent. But I think what's left out of conversations around food, I've heard it a few times here, and I'm very excited about that, is that it's not a commodity, and animals are not a commodity, and neither are the hands that feed us. Human beings are not commodities. And no one is illegal on stolen land. And I know, it's very tense for us tonight to be in a room where there's so much privilege while people are fighting for human rights. And I'm really struggling with the events of today. So let's recognize that we are a community, and it extends beyond just human beings. It's the animals, the plant, the fish. They all deserve a healthy life. They deserve respect. And if we can find that respect for each other, maybe we can stop killing each other.
Absolutely. Thank you. Big round of applause to Chef Blue and Chef Johanna. We could not have done this event without them.
I'm so sorry. I was asked to cook these potatoes. I'm not going to cook them. These are a ceremonial food for many of our nations. They're a shared plant relative, and I want to treat them with respect, but I do want to pass them around the room so you can hold them in your hand. And in your hand, you're going to hold the resilience of the Indigenous people, and you're going to remember us, and you're going to look to us, and you're going to recognize that time is not linear. It stretches backwards, forwards, and every action we do has repercussions beyond us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Huge round of applause, and so important to learn all of this incredible knowledge. I want to thank our friends at Niman Ranch for making this event possible. Please give them a round of applause. Our friends at Sprouts Farmers Market also helped make the reception possible. Give them a round of applause, please. I want to thank my incredible co-founder, Bernie Pollock, who doesn't like to stand up, but he's going to come up and be with me on stage. He's my best friend. He's my best friend, and he's brilliant, and he brought this storytelling event to life. I want to thank my food tank team, including Kenzie Wade, our events director. This couldn't happen without her. And Elenia Seeley, our content director. Get over here. And finally, one of the people I love most in the world was able to come with me all the way from Maryland, my stepson, Liam. Liam Burke joined me, and I'm so glad he could. Thank you all for being here tonight. Huge round of applause to all of you. Thank you. The reception is starting now. Oh, sorry, and I forgot to